Hi, I'm smiling now, okay? This is Steve Gillmor. This is the Gillmor Gang, and I'm looking at something really weird. It looks like a Google Glass with a pimple on it. Or actually the opposite. It looks like a pimple with Google Glass on it.
Salesforce just sent me this, and it's supposed to be a dream suit, and it's PR swag to get me into dreaming about Dreamforce, I guess.
All right, let's see John Taschek for a second. I got to get that reaction.
You look like Kenny in...
Okay, there it is. You know?
All right. All systems go.
Changing the world from minute to minute. Okay. Welcome, John. Welcome, Doc.
Hi.
Doc Searls.
I'm here. I am here. Hi.
Okay. You're in California, right?
I am in California. I'm in Santa Barbara.
Okay, excellent. And Keith. Welcome, Keith.
Thank you for having me. Nice to see you all.
Well, some of us can see us all. No,
there you go.
Everybody is having that problem now.
Yeah.
Except Taschek. That's wonderful.
You know what? It must be the new Skype, and it must be the NSA is taking some of our pixels and putting them somewhere.
Yeah. Well.
What, you mean my system works for the first time?
We're getting the flawed NSA view of all of us.
I think it's the Windows 8 machine. I'm probably the only one with one.
I think it's Frank Shaw trying to, control the universe. Let's start with Scoble. What's going on this week?
I don't know. I was at demo. I've been hanging out with the guy who runs the Consumer Electronics Show. I've been talking to people who are doing low energy Bluetooth radios, but I've lost track of where the news is because it's been sort of I don't know. What happened this week?
Well, you've been saying that. I mean, we've all been saying that there's been no news for weeks now. But
it
takes a long time to read through the lack of news.
No. Samsung Note 3 shipped, and or everybody wrote their reviews.
Google outperformed and went to $1,000 with a 14% bump on the day.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It means that all of my predictions about how hard life is going to get to them in the mobile era have yet to have any impact on them.
Yep.
Give it time.
14% up.
Over $1,000 share price.
Yeah.
1,012 right now.
And
Not bad.
And the other thing is Apple has got the event coming up on Tuesday.
Yeah, new iPads.
And more, I think. The Mac
What's going to
Pro
be in the new
Pro.
iPad? What are they going to put in there?
Sharper screen.
For the iPad
Retina
Mini?
screen, hopefully.
Yeah, of course they're going to put
Retina on the Mini.
I would definitely sell my money and get that one if that's what they do.
But what about the Maxi? What's in that? What are they going to do there?
I think they're going to make it thinner. They're going to put the 64-bit stuff into it.
So it won't work with anything in the enterprise.
And I think they're going to increase the pixel depth on the Retina as well, so it's the best in the market. And then it'll probably lower the price $50.
It's good to be king.
Yeah.
But what do you mean? Who's king? If Google's at over 1,000, who's king?
Well, Apple has the market on the iPad, and they can just do very little in order to get maximum dollars.
Well, I'm finally got, thanks to Cisco, finally am using my this thing all the time now, and it's fantastic. So you can try and slime jack the Apple products, but I think you're wrong.
Who slime jacked? Slime jacking is my expertise, and I didn't slime jack.
Well, you kind of implied that just a little, that they're going to get away with just having minimal amounts of changes. I mean, this is a pretty phenomenal change. I can use this thing. I can navigate. I can now actually click on web pages and see them in less time than never. There are all sorts of.
It's good to be king of it. They got it working.
Thank you. Yeah.
What is it? What, I don't even know what it is.
It's
Oh,
just a
this is the
5S. It looks like a
5S.
little, compact for makeup or something.
It took me about a week to get bored with my 5S, but the real truth of the matter is the Apple versus iOS thing is not about mobile phones anymore. The Moto X has features that the iPhone doesn't have, and the iPhone has features the Moto X doesn't have. And to tell you the truth, I can use either one without really thinking too much about it. So I'm tired about the argument of the phones. What's happening is we're moving into another argument, which is wearables. And there, I think Apple has a real shot at cleaning up. I've started talking to people about a two-wrist strategy. I met with the CEO of Fitbit yesterday, and I talked with him about this at the demo conference. The first wrist is going to be about fashion. It's going to be about signaling to other people that you're cool and with it, and have a brand on your hand that people respect. By the way, Apple just hired the CEO of Burberry, so I guess she's not going to speak at Salesforce Dreamforce this year, huh?
Why not?
I don't know. That would be very interesting if an Apple employee was on stage at Dreamforce.
Handcuffs are a two-wrist solution, too. They can have a little handcuff thing on it. All of a sudden, your wrists get yanked together, and then you're all locked in. They can lock into a new level.
So the first
handcuffs and two wrists. It sounds very appropriate.
All of a sudden, you're there, and all of a sudden, you're done.
Doc,
and you can't do anything.
You need to plug into a network. This is very Rorschachian. What's going on for you right now?
Horseshakian?
Horseshakian.
Yeah.
Okay. Then I'll switch connections.
Okay. I'm listening.
Anyway, so the first wrist is going to be about fashion and beauty and jewelry. This is why people buy really expensive watches, right? They want to signal to other people who they are, what their identity is, what status level they are in, how rich they are, how geeky they are, how nerdy they are, et cetera, et cetera. My dad always wore a Casio calculator watch, which always demonstrated his geek creds. And I believe Apple's going to clean up when they release the Apple iWatch. I'm already hearing from people who've seen the watch. It's a curved piece of willow glass from Corning with a beautiful screen. It's thinner than the Samsung watch, and they say it blows away the other devices on the market.
We'll be right back to QVC after this important message.
The geeks don't like hearing this, but brand matters, right? Having a Nike Fuel Band is more interesting than having a Basis watch for this first wrist. The first wrist is about fashion and signaling and belonging and beauty and all that. The second wrist is about utility. So if you're trying to lose weight, you're going to pick the one that helps you lose weight the best.
This is first screen and second screen only. It's called wrists.
Wrists.
First body and second body. First body and out of body.
Out of body, right.
Two wrists.
Floating just above
the first chakra, the second chakra, and the third and the fourth chakra.
I'm going to own many devices for my wrist, but the first wrist is going to be about signaling beauty and coolness. The second wrist is going to be about utility. So putting something on my second wrist that helps me monitor sleep, like I usually wear my.
So I am going to out Robert. I'm going to out Robert. Can you guys hear me?
Are you going to out him, or are you going to out?
Yeah, I watched him yesterday on the panel.
Out hyphen Robert.
I watched him on the panel yesterday with the Fitbit guy because I was speaking at demo in the afternoon, and so I wanted to check him out. And the Fitbit guy didn't say it was a two-wrist future. He said the second wrist is just for testing.
Yeah.
Well, it's not even the two wrists. I mean, there's a lot of jokes to be made about that. It's actually a whole body. The whole body is going to be instrumented in different ways. And I agree with Robert. One of them might be a watch, and that's a fashion statement. Like an LED watch was really popular in the 70s, and then it goes away, and then it becomes something real again. And there's going to be something to it. I think so too. I think Google announced their watch also to try to appeal to the engineering side of that.
No. Google does not announce a watch yet.
Not announced, but people speculated.
Google bought Win Labs. Which,
Larry
by the way,
Page announced it in the earnings call yesterday, basically.
He announced something's coming, but he didn't show off a watch.
I don't care what the timeline is.
You didn't see a picture of it. You have not seen the Google device yet. You saw a Samsung device, and they announced everybody knows that they're coming out with a watch. They bought Whim Labs, which had a beautiful watch. I have video. I visited Whim Labs before Google bought them, and I have one of the only videos of Whim Labs. Go and watch it on Google. Google is going to go after this first wrist too. They don't want to let Apple own the entire world, right?
I think the second part is the more body instrumentation around fabrics and things like that. But I agree with you. Apple has something going on there, and they've got the processor that's going to be in one system to showcase it. And Google does not. This is where fragmentation actually hurts Google, not in the other application spaces that people have long said.
I agree with that. I agree with John. I think what happens is the smartphone becomes the router. If you think about the cloud, the cloud is where the data ends up.
But let's be honest, the watch is going to sell 10 times more. It already is selling 10 times more with the Fitbit, the Jawbone Up, the Fuel Band than anything else that we put on. Like I have these new ski goggles that just came in from Oakley, right? We're going to have lots of things on our body, but the watch is going to be the biggest profits are going to be on the wrist. Okay. And
for a short period of time.
It's going to be over our wrist. Yeah, for 2014, we're talking about the next year, right?
I'm talking 3 months.
No. The watches are going to come out next year. They're not coming out this year.
As soon as the geriatrics get the watch, it's going to be all over for the people who are into fashion. Then they'll have to come up with another one, but they won't. It won't be. It's a consumer stuff is very difficult.
Not getting where this market is going to play out next year. And I had dinner with a guy running the Consumer Electronics Show this week. This is a big theme coming for next year. Apple alone could sell 50 million watches alone in a year.
I think they will, and at that point, it will be over.
But Robert, you two don't really disagree. You're scoping the conversation to what's going to be big in 2014.
Yeah.
And John is making the point that the whole body becomes a source of information, both to receive and to send through a phone, which is really a router, to the cloud, and then onwards to whoever needs to get it. And it's only a timing question. You're in violent agreement.
At South by Southwest in March, I know of a shirt that's going to get launched with 14 sensors in the shirt. I also know about a pair of shoes that have 100 sensors in a pair of shoes. But let's be honest, those are going to be very small markets compared to the wrist. The wrist is going to be the main battlefield for the big brands to play out. And let's tear Apple and Google apart and talk about the attributes of both.
Oh, but we will that in a second. But first, I want to hear Doc Searls a small moment of retro reality,
lucidity.
I'm just having fun making notes over here. I'm hearing the two-wrist experience and hearing.
Are you
4 singing 16 tons?
Are you going through a? Are you going through a Ethernet connection now?
Yes. So it still sucks.
Yeah.
Fuck. Okay.
That's all right.
Sorry. All right. Hopefully that didn't come through.
It's all right. So just talk slowly. Yeah.
Let me try rewiring. Is that what you guys say is coming across? Is that right?
Just go ahead.
Well, what if I don't know if I'm even being heard? I mean, I don't
know.
We
can hear you.
We can hear you. It just sounds like what it looks like.
Okay, well, I don't know what it looks like. I look great to me, so.
Can you? You're one of the few people that actually have a screen that shows you what it looks like.
Yeah. Okay. Well. All right. So the completely retro experience. I mean, I have a bunch of jokes, but it's kind of hard to tell jokes if half the lines are gone. So why don't you move on to somebody else and I'll try another connection.
Well, let me hear a joke first, and then I'll decide.
No, I was just talking about. I wanted Bluetooth nipple rings that are for Robert saying why even have clothing. Okay. Just put Bluetooth in the
Bluetooth nipple rings. Okay, that's good. All right, now we have 2 possible show titles. All right, all right. Go ahead, Scoble.
You can have a name for a band like that.
Well, the nice thing about Doc coming in and vamping for a while was I got to catch up with the chat, and people are sort of arguing out this two wrist strategy. And they're saying, well, some people buy it for utility. Well, okay, yeah, but most people don't, okay? Most people buy a device that they're going to wear because of fashion, because they're trying to signal something to other people. In fact, one of the investors on my panel was in the Google Glass Collective.
So Apple's the Bang & Olufsen of technology companies then.
Yes, well, and now the Burberry,
Hard to compete. Hard to compete.
And in fact, Keith Teare said all visible tech is fashion. She said that she has friends who look for girls who are wearing a Fitbit or Feel Band because of two things. One, they're signaling that they're cool with geeky guys because they're wearing technology on their wrist. And two, they're worried about how their bodies are working and they're working out and staying fit. Two things that guys like to.
Can't they just look at them?
No, but we signal. Why do people spend so much money on?
There was a study yesterday that came out that said wristbands mean you're single. If you wear a wristband, it means you're single.
Why do people spend $500 on a Coach handbag? Because it's signaling to other people that I can afford this handbag, and therefore I'm in a certain status symbol. Chad Hurley, who started YouTube, has a $30,000 watch on his arm. Why? Because he's signaling to other people that I'm in the private club that you can't get into because you don't have the money.
Robert, how many watches can Apple make? What are they going to look like? Is it all going to be uniform?
Millions.
Are they turning into the IBM of 1984 commercial? Or is everyone going to wear the same wristband? Consumer and fashion is very different.
And that's actually going to be interesting. This is why I think Apple is investing in low-energy Bluetooth radios in the baseball stadium. Because, yes, everybody's going to have the same piece of hardware, the same way everybody has the same iPhone or the same Android phone.
So it's a great fashion statement. Hey, I got the Apple thing. You don't? Oh, cool,
And watch what happens when you wear that thing to a baseball stadium and you walk around and it changes something on the face of it as you're walking around the stadium.
This stuff's been around for years.
What's that?
This stuff's been around for years. You go to a concert, it lights up. It's part of the show.
It has not. You don't have something that you wear that changes as you walk around the stadium.
No, the lighted up things. It's just a novel.
No, that's not the same. I'm saying it's actually going to show you something about where you're standing and who you're standing next to. Because
know that by looking at the person.
No,
but Robert. So what, dude? So what? What's so awesome about that?
My son bought a $100 Mets uniform to signal to other people that he's a Mets fan, and not only a normal Mets fan, but a high-end Mets fan. They are going to do the same thing with the watches. You watch this, and there is a big-ass market waiting here. And I'm a Google Glass guy. I'm also excited about Google Glass. By the way, what do people comment about on my Google Glass right now? It's the sticker that I put on here. It's a custom San Francisco Giants sticker. People come up to me in the street all the time and go, where did you get that San Francisco Google Glass? That's cool. It's just a sticker, but it's signaled that
which only goes to show that they've got zero interest in the glass. They're more interested in the Giants than the glass.
Missing the point. You're totally missing the point.
Oh,
no, I'm not. You're not making the point. Make the point, dude.
Because it's fashion. And you made it in the chat room. It's fashion. What you wear is fashion. It's signaling all sorts of stuff to other people. And soon your iWatch is going to signal things. And by the way, so will the Google one. Will signal things to other people as you walk up to them. And
but Robert, I was winding you up. I was just trying to get you going. But here's the truth of it. The truth of it is fashion only works if it also delivers function. Johnny Ive always says form and function. Form and function. Never separate them. And the problem with everything so far is it's all form and no function.
No, but of course it's going to do. Hold on, you just made a point. Of course it's going to do what the Pebble Watch does, which is put the notifications on and show you your email and show you how many steps you took today and that you're not exercising enough. Of course there's going to be some function there. Of course there will be. But the reason we're all not lined up right now for the Samsung watch is it's a piece of shit, ugly-looking crap thing. And it does have function, but it has no fashion to it.
It doesn't even have function. It only works with two phones.
Well,
by the way, Glass doesn't have function or fashion either. It has neither.
Okay, that's a totally separate argument. I'd rather wait and have that argument separate from the argument over who gets on my wrist.
Well, let's shut down the government first.
That's a totally separate argument. Do you buy something on your wrist or something on the glass on your face, and then what do you put on your face? Do you put this Oakley ski goggle on your face? I don't know.
Well, I'm not convinced.
All right. You're not going to stand in line with me and buy your first iWatch?
No, you're going to do what you did the first time, which was to get two and give me one.
All right.
Okay.
Guaranteed.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely online for, purchasing all of these things. But actually, whether they're going to be important or not, nah.
I disagree. I now see how
Bluetooth nipple rings are not going to change the world.
No. Now you're trying to be funny.
They may change your world.
Hey.
Who are you talking to?
That's hot, and all of a sudden your whole world has changed. But no, you're just trying to be.
Now you've got me thinking about eye beacons for body parts, which is kind of intriguing.
Body beacons.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guidance systems.
Well, yeah, we all know that the porn industry is the first opportunity for disruption.
The iWatch is going to be a beacon, so that's your first body part that has a beacon on it. Whether other body parts get beacons on them as well, we'll see. I know that
is this covered in the second edition of your book?
Yeah.
Are you doing a second edition, by the way?
I don't know. Why?
Well, why write a book?
It's like a $5 business card.
Okay. $5, is that all?
Yeah, you hand somebody a book and they go, "Oh, serious." They go, "You must know something." and it's rated 5 stars on Amazon by 140 people. So serious. Yeah.
Okay, so
and have a copy of the book now that you mention it. But whatever.
All right. Well, I'm not sure what I got out of the last 10 minutes or so.
Entertainment.
Okay.
So what I want to know is, what do people think of the TechCrunch redesign?
I didn't notice.
It's designed for the iWatch.
All right. Is this on web pages?
Yeah, they redesigned the website.
I don't do web pages.
It's designed for the iWatch. It looks beautiful. It's great. By the way, whoever's typing, can you mute Skype?
Yeah, that's Doc.
Yeah.
That wasn't me.
No, it's Doc.
It looks like it went widescreen on the web. It looks okay.
It's you can let me show you this. I don't know if my camera is working.
The top navigation is clever. They've now got 4 things: News, TechCrunch TV, Events, and Crunchbase. And TechCrunch TV and Crunchbase are well misunderstood big parts of TechCrunch's future, I think.
Crunchbase for sure. They should really highlight
I love how
that.
it goes from an iPhone screen to a Samsung Note screen to an iPad mini screen to an iPad Maxi screen to my big ass screen on my desktop.
What does it look like on Google Glass?
And they reduced the load time from 15 seconds down to 5 seconds, I think.
Yeah. I tell you, all we need is a little Apple iWatch version, like that big,
The one thing that they haven't figured out yet is how to handle live shows like this one.
Well, that's TechCrunch TV right there. That's why I mentioned it. I think with the proliferation of over-the-top video signals now and various set-top boxes coming online, whoever will own video content in a segment like tech will end up being really important.
Yeah, but live is more important.
Looks like they're still using WordPress for the whole thing here. I'm looking at inspecting the source.
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Okay. What else?
I don't
The healthcare website was brought up.
Our government went back to work.
The government went back to work.
Art-
Nexus
Art
5 was.
I got one for you. I mean,
shown.
we all know most of that. What about Twitter opening up DMs to anybody? Attention, all clowns.
Actually, it's a one-way thing. If you follow somebody, you can DM them, but they'll probably also give you the ability to block them.
but blocking
is inevitable. It's inevitable they would do that. If any of you have got the latest just.me on their phone, just go and check out what we do. You can chat with a stranger now on just.me, and 6,000 people did it in the last hour. It's a big trend to move from public meeting to chat or messaging, as it is, same thing. So I think it's inevitable that line between public and shared gets more and more blurry.
Well, I agree with that. I also think that it's what it really is the death of IM.
Also that, yeah.
The death of irony?
IM, instant messages.
Death of IM.
Instant messages is over.
I don't know about that.
It's really
I know you don't. That's why I said
it's more like the transformation of IM. I think of it as where public streams, Instagram and WhatsApp all come together in a new kind of experience where the user is in control of who to talk to and when. And it's not totally clear where it ends up, but Twitter
IM is dead.
IM in the narrow sense, I agree. But talking to somebody using text instantly, that isn't dead.
No, exactly. But, what instant is also irrelevant.
What?
It's very... the problem with instant messaging as it was originally formulated, and I hear that John Taschek disagrees, so I'd like him to explain why. The problem with it today is that it is the most I haven't got the right words for it. Dominating. It's the most controlling interface in the real-time world, and people like myself eventually start to remove it in favor of something that is a little bit more asynchronous. Real time, yes, but not basically controlling a channel that forces you into constantly replying to it.
I agree with that. Asynchronous is correct, but it's near real time asynchronous with a degree of control. That's exactly what Just Me does as well.
That's not what Twitter does.
No, Twitter is, in the throes. There was a very interesting set of articles on All Things D and TechCrunch, as a matter of fact, which was a summary of what was on All Things D. Basically, that Twitter is moving toward a message bus strategy that, inflates direct messages, which I was interested to hear that Jack Dorsey, who's usually pretty on target with these things, somehow was in favor of pushing direct messages 3 or 4 layers deep on Twitter and eventually phasing it out, which I think is exactly the wrong thing to do. But luckily, that's not what's happening now. They're evidently going into a lot of development in this area.
Okay, I don't know what that means in the future, but I can say that there's nothing that's good about Twitter direct messages now, except that it's going to it's the opening it up. I mean, direct messages were fine before. Opening it up.
No, they were not fine. I can't stand being a public face of a company and not letting people DM me that I'm not following. And I by the way, I turned on this new feature and I have not gotten any extra spam. So something at Twitter has dramatically changed. They've figured out somehow how to block spam from getting to my DMs, or something's changed about the system.
Same as me,
Robert. The data. That's the important part. But I think the more meaningful thing is that there's just the more the companies do this and the more that they're used, the less reliance on entropy-laden software there is for just simple communications, and that you can take this kind of thing anywhere. But it is, there's not a, I don't know. I think it's more for Twitter's own good than for end users at this point. I don't think it replaces IM at all.
Direct messages have been, well, what do you use? Gtalk, right?
Yeah, I've got Gtalk, but I also have the Apple iMessage, and it's got a bunch of things, connected.
iMessage is not IM. It's everything but IM.
Well, no, it's whatever the client is that has what's that Jabber? So Jabber on it takes your iMessages, your
Doc, isn't Jabber dead? Oh no,
okay, I had to unmute myself. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm on Ethernet. I have a direct connection. Jabber is the XMPP protocol. It's used all over the place. So I mean, it's.
But Google,
like
Google,
HTTP is dead, or
Google stops supporting it.
XMPP.
Yeah.
Are you sure that's not the protocol they're using?
There was something about this maybe 3 or 4 months ago where they basically went in a different direction and sort of.
I don't know. I have no idea. I mean,
Jabber.
It's an open protocol. It's perfectly useful. The fact that it's useful does not make it dead.
I didn't say it was dead. I said that
Okay.
apparently Google.
I'm conflicting all the many. You need little Steve Gillmor headstones so we know all the things that are still dead.
Yeah.
So,
well, RSS
keep in mind
is
when
still
we
dead.
say dead, it doesn't really mean like dead
I
as
know.
a human.
Yeah, Office is dead.
I just give Steve
Links
It still
are
sells
dead.
billions of dollars a year.
Yeah, I don't know, but I mean, Jabber, the company, got acquired by Cisco, and I don't know what happened to that. I know that the XMPP protocol is used by a lot of things. So.
Uh-huh. Okay, so basically, what John Taschek you were basically saying is that you don't feel that instant messaging has you feel that it's an important part of the communications path. Where
flowing back channel communication is still very important. And
I don't disagree that it's important, but I think that relative to its status 5 years ago. Even 1 year ago, that it's seriously being overturned by this kind of Snapchat-oriented environment.
Yeah, but that's not what Twitter's doing.
I don't know what Twitter's doing. What do you think Twitter's doing?
I think they're collecting data for types of communications that are going out there. I think it's more for Twitter than it is for end users. Although there's a small end user benefit for some people who just want to be, pushed a message to. But over time, there's going to be such a flood of these things that, Twitter's just trying to get...
Wait. 99% of the people on Twitter don't post anything, first of all. So those end users are people like my dad who are reading...
it's because they didn't have direct messages.
And No, they don't post. Most people don't post. Most people read, and that's it. And they don't like, they don't retweet, they don't post. Most people are like that. And these people, if they have to complain, let's say about Rackspace, I couldn't take their comment because I would never follow somebody like that before. Now I can take their comment and help them out. And this is a huge deal for everybody in the ecosystem. It's huge for people like me or brands like Rackspace or whatever, or Salesforce or United Airlines, because now we can take things into private messaging and not be so embarrassed by something blowing up in the public sphere. And two, it helps the normal person have conversations with people like me and get on my radar screen without me having to follow them. It's a huge deal. It's a win-win all the way around. As long as I don't get spam, I am happy. And so
there's a good case to be made for some kind of customer support, but no enterprise actually has any workflow behind it.
Oh,
so
that's bullshit. We have 7 people at Rackspace. We built a specialized tool. If you comment to Rackspace, there's a team.
That's a public communication. What about a direct message
so
to
is
you?
Red. So is on and on. Come on, you guys did the social enterprise for the last 2 years. Come on.
That's different. A direct message to you. What's the workflow behind you failing to report that tweet?
I get fired if somebody reports that I lost $1 million deal. Yeah.
And they're going to do that over Twitter, direct message?
I've gotten $1 million deals on Facebook and on Twitter. Absolutely. Guess what?
You're talking about a customer support issue, and if they can tweet anyone that's at the company, who's going to be responsible, and do they have responsibility? There's no policy in place.
If word gets around when you lose deals like that, because people start bitching and complaining and going to Twitter and going to Facebook and writing the chairman. If I dropped the ball on $1 million deal, I guarantee you I would be coming over and begging for a job.
It's not the $1 million deal. It's like, how do you reboot your Apple Watch?
I dropped the ball on $100 deal. I would be looking for a job because one of our core tenets is take care of the customers.
Yeah,
okay?
so is Salesforce.
My cell phone number.
But that's not
if
the
you
world.
call me at 3 in the morning on my cell phone, I will answer the phone and take your call. Probably.
Okay, Doc Searls, what do you think about the value of direct messages from Twitter in today's universe?
I think they have high value as long as people keep using them. I hate them personally. I'd just rather get an email from somebody. Honestly, if somebody wants to contact me, I'd rather they could contact me by email. I get a notice on my phone that I've got a direct message. I can't respond on my phone for some reason. I think it's a kludge, but I don't mind that it's there. There's some people that want to communicate only that way. So, but it needs to go somewhere else once that happens.
You know, if you want to get through to Robert, you almost have to use direct message because he doesn't reply to emails. He doesn't answer his phone.
I do. I don't.
Well, maybe
Sober up.
I will say this: my success rate with DMing you is way higher than any other method.
Because you know why? Because the only time you DM me is when I'm on Twitter and I just tweeted, and so you know I'm on my computer or on my phone.
There
and I'm ready
go.
to talk.
That's right.
If you try to email me at 9 a.m. on a Monday morning when I have 7 interviews going, I'm not gonna see your email until the evening, and then I'm gonna pick the top 5.
The only time I ever use email is when I notice that somebody's on Twitter.
Does Twitter have presence?
Yes, it's called when you tweet. You're on.
You see it. Alive. 9:43. Alive. 9:45. Alive.
We got to connect that with the sensors in the iWatch, to actually verify that we're all alive.
I actually do answer a lot of my email. I don't answer it all, and I have an out of office box. But Keith, if you sent me an email, I probably would get back to you. By the way, Charlie Isaacs, who works at Salesforce, says Salesforce Service Cloud creates cases from tweets, tracks via SLAs, and assigns them in queues, and lets people respond to customers. So.
We've always done that. We've had it since Twitter. We're a partner of Twitter.
Exactly.
All right. I'm talking about DMs.
Yes, but
that's a direct message. A direct message is a different thing. It's a whole new concept.
If you run a business and the theme is what's the theme of Dreamforce this year? Something about customers. If you care about customers and you're a customer-centric organization.
I'm not talking about Salesforce or Rackspace. I'm talking about...
No. I'm talking about if you're Ritz-Carlton or John Deere or whoever has a customer service orientation, you are going to take care of the customer no matter where they send you a message, because that's the way you do business now. If you say, I will only take your call on a phone number, developers certainly will go, screw you, I'm going somewhere that
I agree with you. It's just that it's not, there's nothing in place to track it. It's not going through your enterprise system. There's no audit trail. If somebody DMs...
I track it. I know if I answer the email.
You're not a normal person, obviously.
No, you don't.
What if you're a pharmaceutical company and somebody DMs you about a drug contraindication or some kind of reaction? They're by law required to report that. Are they going to do it? Is Twitter going to release that information? Where's it going to come from?
If you work at a pharma company and you get a DM and you have a public account that says something about the company and you're a public face of the company in some way, like I am at Rackspace and you guys are at Salesforce, guess what? You take that and you put it in your system, and it probably is run on Salesforce, by the way. You put it in your Salesforce system and say, this guy just reported this, and you track it. If you don't, you get fired. Come on. And you might even get put in jail if you do the wrong thing, right?
Okay. How about if there's a lawsuit or litigation and they need a complete audit track?
Because the minute somebody DMs me from a big company, the first thing I do is email the account manager and go, what the hell's going on here? Or I chatter them, because we use Chatter, or I put it into Salesforce and go, this guy's complaining, take care of him. Come on.
That's great, and more people need to do that.
I think one thing that's certainly true is that there are too many channels to get to any given individual. And what you do over time, you learn which channels are best for which person. Absolutely. But what you really need is to bring all those channels into a single place and to be able to prioritize what to reply to. That's what you really need. By the way, Ping launched, Robert.
Yes, I was just going to show you that. This is cool. I like this. Cool. Let me show you this Ping app.
Can you get them to jump me over the list? I'm like number 44,000 Even though I asked ages
buy my
ago.
book, and then I'll send you on the list.
Okay.
Anyways, Ping. What Ping does is turn Gmail into a chat, and it removes all the crap on an email. So you only get the highlights. Let me see if I can pull something up that like a back and forth.
All the crap.
Oh yeah, here you go. See,
what does that mean?
well, you know, emails. When you send me an email, you usually have a signature, and also people when they reply, it automatically puts the old email underneath, and
The thread, right?
It
The
becomes
context.
crappy. There's some visual noise you have to go
The
through.
age of no context.
Right. And so this turns it into something that looks like chat, you know, Facebook chat. And it just removes the crest and gets to the highlights. So
I'm feeling dizzy.
I can go through my email a lot faster. And I can do it on my mobile phone. So and it's easier. It's nicer. The UI is nicer. It removes some clicks. It removes some visual noise. And I like it. I like it a lot. But it is a mind shift. You gotta get out of your old mind shift and into your new mind shift, and it's a little. I like it. It's like a new drug, man. It's like LSD.
Well, you're on something for sure today.
Not yet. I'm on diet stuff. Brought to you by Diet.
I picked a wrong week to give up Coke Zero.
What did you just say, Robert? Did you say not yet, or did you say not yet?
Not yet. No, this afternoon, the guy who started Slingbox is going to be here. Andy's coming over,
Okay.
and I went to DML Wines and I bought some really great wine. So you know, and it's sunny in Half Moon Bay, so I'm just punchy right now. You know, plus I got all these new toys.
If I see those things one more time.
Yeah, but these are cool, man. If you go skiing, this
cool for what reason?
Because it has a little computer down
I'm
here.
just going to make sure never to get in a car with you from now on. You know, you're going to be looking at your wrist, your first wrist and your second wrist.
Third wrist, fourth wrist.
You know, I have a
Third
car that has
wrist is
great
what I
power.
want to know about.
Here's what I think. I think that all that wearable stuff ultimately is optimized for not looking. It's the data it gives off
Yeah,
and
no
passes
kidding.
through the phone.
It's for not actually. They just you give them money and then they don't deliver a device. That's going to
Passive
be
risk.
the new
That's
model.
the title for the show.
So in here, right? So
What
in
is it?
here, I'm going to start switching into the personal cloud. In here,
Wait. So, somebody just asked in the chat whether Hop is the same as Ping, and the answer is yes. That they changed the name to Hop, obviously because Apple wouldn't let them have Ping.
Yeah. So in
Isn't
the
Ping
Ski
dead?
Goggle, by the way, is a compute package from Recon Instruments, and Recon Instruments makes a bunch of different wearable computers, and there's a little screen down here, and there's a bunch of sensors here. So it tells you how fast on the ski slope you're going. It shows you on the map where you are on the mountain, so you know should I go left or right. It tells you where your kids are, because if you put the Oakley app on your kids' iPhones or your Android phones, it shows where they are on the mountain. And you can chat with them and through a little wrist thing, and it also shows you if you're a real good skier. I'm not, so I can't test this part, but it'll show you the hang time of your jumps and other stuff, and show you other things.
Just don't choose the Sonny Bono button.
Well, that's why you wear a helmet. But
Goggles.
Sonny had a helmet on.
Yeah,
And he
Yeah,
had
he did
goggles.
goggles on.
that
I
was
heard
the
he
only
did-
thing he had on.
I heard from the ski patrol he did not have a helmet on.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I saw the tree that he hit, and he hit it at a pretty high speed. Whatever he was wearing, and it at a head height, by the way.
It was a branch.
Anyways,
Yeah,
when
it
I
was
was
a
in Sun
bristlecone
Valley,
pine.
I saw an accident, and the lady had a helmet on, and it cracked the helmet. And the ski patrol, I was skiing with the ski patrol, and when we got down there, they showed me the helmet, and they said, "This is why you wear a helmet all the time." And this was a low-speed crash right in front of the lift, by the way, not on into a tree. So, anyways, where was I going with this?
Crowdsourcing.
This is cool. I don't know. I got all these toys. I got a new home automation thing I'm going to hook up this afternoon from Revolve. I got a new Nest thermostat.
By the way, one of the winners of demo yesterday was a company, I forgot their name, Robert, you might remember, but they do a motorcycle helmet with a heads-up display.
Yeah, it's not the Recon Instruments one. It's the other. It's a new one, and that's pretty cool. The vertical markets are going to be cool because people, a ski goggle like this usually costs about $300, $400 for a high-end one. So getting a $650 one is not that big a stretch, and they sold out of these last year. But anyways, it's a fun toy. Fun toy.
They're going to have special ones for members of Congress. When they look through the screen, it looks like something's going on.
Yeah. Helmet heads.
Exactly. So, Doc.
Sir.
Now that I can see you and hear you.
We got a twofer right now. It's a full duplex. Who knew?
What's floating your boat right now? What's this thing that that we see, the car thing that you were...
So Phil Whitley and his team at Kinetics, they have a new thing called Fuse, like the FUSC, and it's there's a Kickstarter that started right now, which I encourage everybody to go to. It's most people don't know that underneath their dashboard is another plug that's basically a bus into the diagnostics of the car. The newer the car, the more the diagnostics are in there. They've been in cars since 1996. And the cool thing is you can have like a second dashboard on your phone of what's going on, but it's independent of any particular device. The car itself gets its own cloud. And it's a platform for all kinds of cool things to happen. And I invite people to check it out. So it's at, you can go to joinfuse.com. That way you'll see the sort of short version of it. But the more important one is the Kickstarter that's going on right now. It's been a couple of days. They're only looking for $60,000. They're a little past $10,000 so far, and
isn't this kind of a vertical of smart tags, basically?
Well, no, I wouldn't call it that. But it's certainly a vertical in the sense that it's automotive, and it's certainly good for automotive enthusiasts, which is a subset of a large set. But it's for anybody who digs getting data flowing into their lives, like Robert does, and wants to play with it and combine it with other data and have it be independent of any particular silo and see what can be done with it. I think it's a cool thing.
Yeah, the helmet, by the way, was the Scully helmet.
So one area that I'm really surprised hasn't seen tech innovation is bikes. Why isn't there more stuff on bikes?
Bicycles or motorcycles?
Yeah, bicycles. So many people bicycle, and
bicycles.
And you've got you're traveling, you've got speed, you've got wind conditions, you're wearing a helmet. There's all kinds of stuff could be done there, but nobody seems to have done anything.
Frame and brakes. That's what they mostly are concerned about. I think they're going to need front airbags for the passengers they hit in cities, though, because there's so many more accidents involving bicyclists and pedestrians. Some early warning systems, maybe. I mean, it's a good idea. I don't know how you do it without keeping the cost down. Bikes being anywhere from $500 to $3,500 or more for a good city bike.
By the way, the Scully helmet in your motorcycle shows you rear view on the display and shows you directions and lets you play music and stuff like that. It's pretty cool.
I don't know if that's a good idea for bicycles. They're kind of very forward, meaning front modal riders, with a lot of very quick inputs. I don't know. There's got to be some kind of detection things though that are going on. I don't know what they are. It's a good idea though. Oh well, there's some comments out there. Got to look them up.
I'll look them up. I was just looking at a giant Sedona comfort bike for $400 because I need a bike this weekend to go with my kids somewhere.
Bikes, though, have always had little I used to have computers on my bikes to show me how fast I'm going and my cadence and all sorts of fun stuff. And I know a lot of the bike riders are wearing Garmin watches and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's there, but I think it's the safety has always never been a big issue. Besides your helmet and some kind of clothing. I mean, but there could be something instrumented on the bicycle itself. that has something to do with early warning. I don't know. I think it's necessary.
I think it'd be pretty cool to take the diagnostics port that's on cars, like I just talked about, put it on a bike, and have it plugged into a bunch of other stuff on a bike. Somebody could invent that. I think it'd be a pretty cool thing to do.
So what is this personal cloud thing about?
Well, I think it... yeah, go ahead. Who's talking?
No, you go ahead, Doc. You're the expert. I was going to chip in, but if you've got something to say,
okay. So, well, the insight of Phil Windley and the folks at Kinetics is that anything can have a cloud, which is a logical place where you can have an operating system and storage and logic can be done. And you can have your own cloud, and anything you own in your Internet of Things can have their clouds. Phil calls them PICOs, for persistent compute objects. And that's basically what you get with this Fuse thing that they just came out with, or just starting to work on. But the notion is that you don't need a device in order to have a cloud, and the cloud does not have to be something that's only Apple or Amazon or Google or any other big company has. Historically, personal cloud is sort of following the same trajectory that personal computer did. At one point, personal computer was completely absurd. Nobody would want a personal computer. Only companies and big enterprises had computers, but then all of us had them. The same way we have personal networking, we can have personal clouds. But it goes beyond that, so everything itself can have a cloud. And I think that's the most exciting thing, that everything I own can have a cloud, and that I have those clouds. Yes, sir.
That's exactly what's happening in a lot of, my Basis watch has its own little cloud that I can. The problem is none of these things talk to each other, so I can't have a meta cloud that really stitches together my Nike shoes to my Basis watch to my Google Glass to my Apple iPhone.
Well, that's what we need. It's just like it was with personal computing before we had the IBM PC and the Mac. Before, your Commodore wouldn't talk to your Radio Shack, which wouldn't talk to your Sinclair, which wouldn't talk to your whatever. And we needed standards. And so what we need here is a standard open operating system that works at the base level that allows these things to integrate. And we don't have that yet. Phil has one called Cloud OS. It's open source. It's GPL. I hope it catches on. And suddenly we're speechless.
No, I'm just listening.
So that's it. I mean,
that's speechless.
It's just a really early stage in whatever this is going to be. And in early stages of these things, you always have lots of incompatible silos. And sooner or later, somebody comes forward with something that integrates all of those at a lower level that's basically open and everybody can use.
Well, that's the theory.
No, it's a fact. It's happened plenty of times. I mean, it wouldn't happen necessarily with everything. It happened with IAM, actually, with XMPP, even though IAM is now dead.
Exactly. I think that, that's why I think Twitter's as super important as it is because it continues to survive the ebb and flow of big vendor versus little person.
Well, it's not big vendor versus little person. It's silos versus common standard, and they have a very useful silo right now. But I think it's pretty early in whatever this is going to be. And the
reason I use Twitter direct messages is because I can reach pretty much everybody I'm trying to faster and more efficiently because people are watching their Twitter feeds and they're not watching their email as much as they used to. So just from a timing perspective, if I need to send a flare up to somebody, direct messages is right now the best way of doing it, and will probably continue to be.
But you're at the mercy of Jack Dorsey. If Jack Dorsey decides tomorrow, you know what, we don't want to have VM anymore, we're going to bury it completely, just like they did with the API.
But that's what's interesting about it. Jack Dorsey's been really. I mean, Jack Dorsey was one of the only people at Twitter who felt the track was a great thing. And he said so right straight through. They're killing it and burying it as deep as it will ever be buried. So he's not always right, but he's certainly not always wrong. And what's interesting about this route around is that in spite of his desire, apparently, according to this book, to submerge it, it wouldn't be submerged because, of all the things in Twitter that were innately and imperatively obvious, from the beginning was, you can have a conversation with somebody, anybody, with no forethought or foreknowledge of those people being on the network at the same time. So it's Tim O'Reilly's, and I use this carefully, idea of serendipity as to the preservation of serendipity on the network is the main reason to guard against the tyranny of silos. And my point is that there are some commercial enterprises that turn out to have incredible value because they never give up their volume, their mass, which allows them to continue to be a player where others are not.
So, Steve, I'm sharing a screen right now, which, if you can see it, shows 10,000% increase in use of Just Me over a week, and 8,000% over a 30-day period in the UK, 144% Japan, 45% USA, and that's all to do with serendipity. We turned on public chat, and it's unbelievable how that border between discovery and conversation and streams, I still don't understand it, but there's something different that needs to happen there that doesn't yet happen. And Twitter's step this last week is very similar to steps we're taking. In fact, we're even going further than them. And it definitely has a positive impact because people yearn to discover new
I don't
things.
think anybody really knows what to do with it yet. But I do know that attempts to not be able to do it invariably cause the disruption of whatever, if you make the decision to go against it, you invariably fail. So I think it's a really big deal. And I don't know that Twitter is, just because they're starting to focus on it, that means a whole lot. I know that there are a number of sources, some of which I can't talk about, that are interested in this area. So, I've been interested in this area for 5 or 6 years, and probably going back to FidoNet. At the dawn of sitting around wasting time on a computer.
And personal clouds relate to this as well, Steve. I know you know that, but personal clouds relate to this because a personal cloud ultimately is where you store things that you care about over a long period. It's going to be the place you go back to time and time again in your life. It doesn't really exist today in any meaningful sense. It's kind of atomized, distributed. Well, that's a personal cloud.
What did you say,
cloud.
Evernote?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that is a personal cloud, Robert. It's one, but I think there's something about the personal cloud that doesn't exist yet.
But what I'm haltingly trying to say is that just because an open standard will eventually emerge doesn't mean that these commercial enterprises aren't extremely important. Without them, a lot of this stuff would not exist.
Right.
The ability to create a swarm of people that eventually becomes authoritative and influential, to use a terrible word, that's why we're doing what we're doing here, and it's what it's what the media does since day one. There's nothing wrong with it, and I'm frustrated by the idea that there's. I share Doc's concern about being locked up in somebody's trunk, as Dave Weiner would put it. But I don't think that people give enough due to the idea that these sort of quasi-consumer, quasi-enterprise solutions like this, the idea of a real-time message bus, at the end of the day, guess what? Twitter has pulled it off. They're going to go IPO. They're going to continue to thrive. They're not going away. And Facebook is not that beast. It's something else.
I think they're not going away, but I think they've got two simultaneous challenges going on.
I want to keep this focused on what, Doc, you want to respond?
Yeah. Well, the first thing I want to say is, again, if you take a chronological view that accepts that now is in early time, we're doing in the past as we speak. Twitter is a prototype, just like AOL was a prototype for what we got with the internet. And I think if AOL hadn't done what it did with online services, and if CompuServe hadn't done what they did, we wouldn't have the internet we know now. I think the internet we know now is an open place. Nobody's ever going to own it. And the phone companies and the cable companies may try, or Hollywood may try, they're not going to succeed. What is going to happen, I believe, is...
Can you slow down a little bit, because we're getting about half of what you're saying, so if you slow it down, I'll get all of it.
Right. Yeah, I'll speak real slowly.
With the senator from Santa Barbara, please.
Mr. Dane,
Here, I'm going to call you back, because it's just impossible.
Okay, I call you back, because I've got a connection here. I don't know what the deal is.
I know what the deal is.
Anyways.
Go ahead, Keith, while we're waiting.
I've totally forgotten.
You're saying that they have two challenges.
Oh, yeah. So two challenges. The first challenge is people related. It's where does the interest graph and the social graph, both the serendipitous and the closed social graph, how do you build the features that allow you to both navigate ideas and themes on the one hand, and people on the other hand, come together into UI that combines public streams with messaging? I think it's very hard, and they're trying to figure it out, and no one's really figured it out yet, and they've got as good a shot as anyone. But they're in midstream doing that. And the second challenge is, how do they justify the valuation of 10 billion on a revenue of 300 million, where the expectations are going to be through the roof in terms of growth percentages month after month? I think those are the two challenges. And if they can figure those two out, it's going to be one of the biggest companies the world has ever seen.
All right, Doc, you want to try it again?
Yeah. I think you're not going to end up with one company owning a means of communications or a communication norm. It's going to happen. I think that Twitter has, with DM and with tweeting, a very widespread and prototype that may, that underneath are a bunch of standards, including SMS and God knows what else. But I think that saying that we're going to depend utterly on them in the long run, I think, is wrong.
Yeah, I'm not suggesting that we depend entirely on them. I'm saying
I'm not dismissing its use now. It's obviously very useful.
Okay. Robert, you had something you were going to say, or you wanted to change the subject?
I'm just I don't know where to go with what's the conversation flow.
Well, I just asked about the whether IM was dead about an hour ago, and we haven't stopped talking about it yet. So is there anything else going on?
IM's not dead.
Okay.
I don't know. I've been watching Twitter. That it's a slow news week, but there's a lot of things cooking. I don't know.
John Taschek.
IM's not dead.
He's got his stethoscope. He's testing it out. There it is. It still has a pulse.
We need the chat room to save us. What else is there to talk about?
I would say the center of gravity when it comes to people's relationships to each other, the software that ends up being the center of gravity, you could say in the last 5 years it's been Facebook. There's now competition from WhatsApp and all of that, but that center of gravity is still being defined and shifting, and it's a moving space.
Well, I think that's right. There was a massive shift in people's relationship center of gravity, and it's now the dust is kind of settling, and now we're picking tools that we like or appreciate and experimenting more with how we communicate with others, and Twitter is right at the center of that, and that's why it's not asynchronous and synchronous at the same time. It's all asynchronous. It's just so fast that it's like the difference between an RTOS and an operating system that operates at millisecond level. It's just it's perceptually not different. And Twitter is, the communication form around events and news. Facebook is around a lot of relationships, and then there's other things that are coming out that will be with your watch or your body part. There's going to be different kinds of communication that you have and what you share, and it's all good because it gets us out of this old world thinking around, here's a document, I have to send it to you, I have to formalize it. It's like, you might as well think about the monks transcribing, documents in the 1400s or something. It's that much different, and it's all good.
I mean, here's my Twitter up on screen, right? What's different about this from IM? There's, I get a new tweet every half a second, and now of course once it's on air it slows down. But what's different about this than IM?
Volume. The main difference is volume.
No, I had a lot of volume on IM
connection.
too.
It's the connection. That's a broadcast versus it's a dispatch versus a communication, an individual communication.
But over here, Phil Winley sent me some DMs. What's the difference between that and IM? I don't get it. I think it's arguing about a lot of stuff. A couple of things in the chat room were like trying to get us back on an interesting topic. Did we talk about the Burberry CEO getting hired by Apple? Yeah, we sort of covered that at the beginning of the show. But I'll bring that in at the end when we do our wrap up.
This is the end.
Well, yeah. And Luke said Square Cash is kick-ass. Talk about that. I agree. But what else do you say other than it's kick-ass?
Well, do you want to get your paycheck by email?
I'll take if you want to send me money. I'll take it however you want to send me money. You want to send me Bitcoin?
That's kind of the point.
I will take your Bitcoin. You want to send me Square Cash? I will take your Square Cash.
I'm
all about capitalism and taking your money, and I will figure out how to take your money.
Let me tweet you some cash for your body part information. I mean, that's where it's going.
Hey, I'll trade for that. I'm capitalist.
Bluetooth nipple rings resurfaces once again. If we had more than a wafer's number of bits from Santa Barbara, we would have had motes like that. Motes is like a French word for words.
If you want to see my sleep data, actually, I did share my sleep data when I was wearing my Basis watch at South by Southwest. I made all that data public so you could see how much sleep I had and what I was doing when I was sleeping.
Well, Twitter should really partner with Bitcoin, and the two can be a powerhouse in how that works together. Twitter Squared Bitcoin, the new bank.
All right. Well, while I have the remotest amount of bandwidth from Doc, I want to thank you for bearing with us and talk to Comcast or whoever it is that's sallowing your
and I'm getting 50 on and 5 up, so I'm not sure what the deal is.
Maybe it's the Skype client. Maybe Microsoft is crushing the show.
Thing, I don't know.
Frank Shaw, fix Skype, please.
Look.
But I just want to summarize here because I think John Taschek hit the nail on the head about what real time is, and people still don't seem to get the understand that when I say something's dead, that invariably means that nothing except that I am still alive. And the second part of it's a joke, but the reason that jokes are funny when they're funny is because they have significant elements of truth involved. And when I say that Office is dead, I think that they are making more money than ever on Office right now. But what Office is in a constant state of morph, and Microsoft has terrible problems on their hands in absorbing this new real-time communication path. When I say that IM is dead, it is just an observation. It's an emotional reaction. And one of the things that this kind of emotional comment does bring to the surface eventually, sometimes sooner than later, is that there are emotional reasons why we use this technology. And with the advent of mobile, those reasons become paramount. So that the kinds of signals that we are sending out to each other are increasingly around the message paths that deliver the most emotional bang for the buck. And IM is a practical tool that is being superseded, in my opinion, by a variety of technologies, just.me, iMessage, the list goes on and on. And as we move to this alleged, cornucopia of wearable devices, the real interface, the real operating system of that is going to be around these messages. They are the most important things that I deal with on a daily basis, from the time I wake up until the time I fall asleep, is trying to manage the path of these messages. Some of them are private, most of them are public, but even the ones that are public get sorted into @mentioned threads and into groups, and so that they can be, processed and made available to people in a prioritized stream, which allows us to be able to absorb this information. That is not email. Email is, in a free fall in terms of processing that information. And, that's just what I think, and that's why I thought that this conversation was very interesting, even at its most Rorschachian collapse. Now, Doc, you want to give me while we can hear you?
I just closed a whole bunch of apps, or several apps anyway. I hope that helps.
It does.
I've just been
Next time, don't run any apps.
There's such a huge delay between what you say and your face that you appear to be dubbed. And I'm thinking we need closed captioning. I think that might help.
I don't think it would help. Then you would know exactly how little I'm actually saying.
It is funny to watch.
Okay, so your last thoughts, Doc Searls.
But I go to join Fuse or go look at Kickstarter and for the Fuse project, because I think it's cool, and come to IW next week at the Computer History Museum in San Francisco in Silicon Valley. Internet Identity Workshop. It's a wide open conference. I co-organize it with Phil and with Clea Hamlin, and it's the attendees' agenda. You can come with your own agenda and make it yours. There are no keynotes. There are no panels. Sponsors basically pay for food. It's a cool thing. You should come by. Okay.
Keith's here.
I think we should note the early stage passing of Path. They laid off 20% of their employee base this week. By the way, I say that with all due humility. Just Me is probably the most successful startup I've ever done, but it's struggling, and I have had my own challenges there, and I don't know if it's going to survive, because this is a difficult space to figure out.
Robert Scoble.
We're next year is going to be about personal cloud and wearables, and it's going to be a fun year.
What about this year?
This year's about what's going on. I don't know. I'm bored with this year already. This year's winding up. I mean, other than we're all going to buy a new iPad and an Xbox One and whatever else for Christmas,
Sounds like
buy my book. Put it on your Christmas list. Go skiing.
John Taschek.
Yep. I've said, I don't know. There's this year has been an interesting year, and I think it's really kind of a setup for next year about all the things that are going to happen around communication. If you think about it, Twitter is going to go public soon, but a lot of enterprise cloud companies have gone public, and they're all doing very well. And that's a kind of a shift from that's happened from 2 or 3 years ago, and now we're going into much more of a the devices are communications tools as opposed to consumption tools, and they always were with SMS and things like that, but it's just getting so much more information that's being shared, and our privacy notions are going to be challenged, and our data absorption capabilities are going to be challenged. And I think there's going to be a lot of interesting things that come out, that how do you manage all that, how do you manage your day, and that's, I guess, what Robert is saying is the personal cloud. So I think I agree with him for once.
Okay.
I always agree with Robert. Actually, he knows that.
Are we done?
Yep.
I can keep going on a monologue if you'd like, but no, I thought I was done.
Yeah, I thought so too. All right. I want to thank Rackspace, and particularly Rob Legess, for reasons that he knows well, and so do you, which is that this would not be on the air if it wasn't for Rob's incredible insight at a very, very important time, and we do appreciate Rackspace's continued support. I want to thank NewTek and their TriCaster. I want to thank our producer and director, Tina Chase Gillmor. I want to thank John Taschek. I want to thank Robert Scoble. I want to thank the incredible Doc Searls.
Yay.
And, of course, Keith Teare. I hope things go well for you regardless of the immediate future.
Thank you.
Enter the chat room.
And the chat room, of course, I always say that. Scoble, you can do the sign off this next time. So many ankle biters. so little time. The chat room is fabulous as always. I want to thank everybody who showed up, and especially those who didn't, and you know who I mean. I'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.